On Larry King Now, the charming and talented Brooklyn Decker.
A lot of the big covers that I got came after I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So they were really the ones that kind of created a career for me. And then people sort of caught on after them. And the people that work in fashion are artists. They're incredibly creative, they're very talented. But when you're the model, you're sort of the result of all of their hard work. So for me, it felt very empty.
Did you have a tough time getting accepted, the fact that here's this beautiful model, Sports Illustrated, can she act?
I did, and I think I still do, but at the same time, it's not like I'm gonna bite the hand that fed me because it's what opened the doors for me.
Plus, tell me how you met Andy Roddick.
I hosted the show. He watched it every week and got his agent to call my agent. Isn't that terrible?
That's all next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. Our special guest is Brooklyn Decker, the model turned actor. Brooklyn has done campaigns for Gap and Victoria's Secret and appeared in editorials for Vogue and Glamour, just to name a few. In 2010, she found herself in Elite Company, cover girl for Sports Illustrated Swimsuit Edition. As an actor, she's appeared in films like Just Go With It and Battleship, and now stars in the new comedy Friends with Better Lives, which airs Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on CBS. We'll talk about that in a while. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Great to see you.
You as well.
You started as a model, of course.
I did.
By
yes.
accident?
By accident.
How?
I was discovered in a mall. It's such a cliched story, but I was discovered in a mall.
In a mall?
In a mall in North Carolina.
How old were you?
I was 14 at the time, and it was a model who recognized me. She thought from modeling, turns out we ran track at opposing high schools, and we got to talking, we were with our moms, and she suggested I get into it. And at the time, it just seemed like a really great way to save money for school.
So what do you do where do you go at 14?
Well, in Charlotte, North Carolina, you shoot for a lot of prom magazines. So when you're 14, that's a very big deal, because you haven't gone to your high school prom yet. So I started locally and then got very lucky. Really, that's what's required to be successful in that business. And a scout was in North Carolina visiting and asked to meet me. And
right place, right time.
Exactly.
So how old were you when you left home?
I started traveling to New York. My first time was on my 16th birthday. I spent my spring breaks, my winter breaks, my summer breaks in New York. My mom and dad would take off work and come. And then I moved full-time after I graduated high school. I was 18.
18?
Yes. Scary.
How did you get that wonderful first name, the name of my birth?
Do you love it?
Oh, the best first name in the world.
I thought you would like it. I actually ended up living in Brooklyn, but I was named after a horse called Brooke. My mom and dad loved the name, and my dad, with a terrible sense of humor as a joke, suggested Brooklyn. So I got Brooklyn, and they had never been to Brooklyn. Growing up in North Carolina, it was just a very strange name, and it ended up working for my job.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Do you know anyone else named Brooklyn?
The Beckham's son is named Brooklyn.
Really?
I think their oldest son, yeah. So he's the only other person, and I've written a note to him before.
Do you call yourself a supermodel?
No. No.
You recently said that you were not a good model. What do you mean?
It's a really well-kept secret that I was actually not that successful of a model.
What do you mean?
Well, Sports Illustrated was one of the most loyal clients to me, and they're definitely the ones that put me on the map. But aside from
that's not successful, if you worked for Glamour and Victoria's Secret, Gap, how would you not be successful?
But Victoria's Secret, I think they only hired me twice, and then never again. And I never walked a runway show. A lot of the big covers that I got came after I was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So they were really the ones that kind of created a career for me. And then people sort of caught on after them. And at that point, I had started in movies, and then I kind of stepped away from modeling. But
why were you not a good model?
I would go for months without working. Truly, I would get fired from jobs all the time. I think it
because?
I think at the time when I came onto the scene, it was 2005 when I started full time, and we had a very big Eastern European and Brazilian influence in the business. And this was before the days of the Kate Uptons and the Chrissy Teigens and the Miranda Kerrs, these really beautiful, curvaceous bodies. This was a time when if you looked like a hanger, you were successful, and that was just not me at all. So when
you don't have a beautiful body? Yeah.
Well, thank you. I feel like I'm very comfortable with my body, but at the time, it's just not what the business demanded. They wanted no curves, very stick thin. They wanted that sort of rail, very androgynous body, which
Old Vogue look.
Absolutely, and it's beautiful, but it's not what I had at the time, so I didn't work a lot.
Did you enjoy modeling? No. It seems to the onlooker boring.
Yes. It is. It is. Now, coming from a person who had never traveled outside the country, I didn't have a passport. For me, it was a wonderful way to see the world and to travel, and I got to go to the most incredible places, and the people that work in fashion are artists. They're incredibly creative, they're very talented, but when you're the model, you're sort of the result of all of their hard work. So you show up once they've invested months in this photo shoot, and they're just pinning things on you. So for me, it felt very empty.
You have to be patient, right?
You have to be very patient. And I'm not good with a lot of people tugging and pulling, and it was just very, yeah, you're kind of an on-call employee.
Did you never did runway?
No.
Why wouldn't you be asked to do runway?
Because I didn't fit the body type at the time. And I think what happened is at the time it was very chic to be cool, and friendliness was not something that was widely accepted at the time. And again, it has its ebb and flows. It goes through the ups and downs. And so at the time, my personality, I think, was a little too big for modeling.
Had it be difficult? Young, beautiful, very young, beautiful, thrust into the New York scene, back in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Was it too much too soon, or did you handle it well?
I feel like I handled it well, considering what I could have gotten into. I think, I handled it well, but I also I wasn't social. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't go out all the time. I probably could have had more fun than I did. I probably could have met more people than I did.
You didn't do the night scene, the clubbing?
No, I sort of closed myself off. So for me, I think I stayed out of trouble, but I don't know that I necessarily took advantage of all the assets that the business has, because it does have really incredible aspects to it.
Your parents had no problem with it?
I think they had a problem with it, but I think, it's so funny, my mom always says, so it's me and my brother. And my brother was definitely the rebellious one in the family. And so my mom always says that as a parent, you never want your 18-year-old daughter to move to New York alone to model, because it's scary. But she says as a parent, you kind of know your kids, and you know the kids that can handle it, and you know the kids that would probably get into a lot of trouble. And I was sort of a goody-goody in school growing up, and so I don't think my parents feared me moving there.
Brooklyn has officially caught the acting bug. We'll find out how that happened. We'll find out about her new show. Stay with us. You can see Brooklyn Decker Monday nights in Friends with Better Lives on CBS. How did Sports Illustrated happen?
I went to a casting. It was my first week in New York City. I went to a casting, and funny enough, I was on my way home from the casting because I had yet to really learn the subway system. I got lost, ended up in Queens, called my agency crying because I had no idea where I was, and they said, well, you better sit down. And they said that Sports Illustrated called that day and booked me to shoot with them. So it was a casting. And again, it's luck.
Well, the first time you were on a cover, right?
No, I was on the cover my 5th year. It took a little
Those shoots are shot in different beaches and places somewhere?
Correct.
Where you must have traveled a lot to do.
We did. My first time leaving the country was with Sports Illustrated, and we went to Colombia. We went to Cartagena, which was beautiful. We shot in Arizona, we shot in the Maldives, which is where my cover took place. We went to Israel. So they take you to really special places.
Do you like Israel?
It was incredible. Tel Aviv was so beautiful.
The best, the beautiful beaches.
Oh my goodness, the people were incredible. There was one shot, we were actually in the ocean, and there was a man there letting his horse cool off. There were all these horses in the water, just cooling off. And so we went up to this guy and asked to take a picture with his horse. And here I am, and I'm thinking, we're in Tel Aviv in the ocean with a random horse taking a picture, and it was really, really special.
Did you get paid a lot more when it's the cover?
You don't get paid to do Sports Illustrated. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
No, go ahead.
You don't, because, so in fashion, the editorials, if you're shooting for the Vogues, the Glamours, the Sports Illustrateds of the world, it's considered really good for your career. So you're lucky to be a part of that family, that publication, and so you don't get paid for those jobs.
But it's a great career.
But it's an incredible career.
And it's not bad for Sports Illustrated.
Correct. It's an.
But it costs them a lot. They got to fly over.
It costs them a lot. Yeah, hotels and flights.
All right. How did the acting thing happen?
So I moved to New York at 18. And all my friends were in college. I was really missing school. I really wanted to go to college. And again, this whole time I thought I was just going to be paying for school, so the whole plan was to go back to school. And so my agent actually suggested that I study acting because it was something I could take with me. I could take scripts with me. So I started studying acting.
You like it right away?
I did. I started reading Tennessee Williams, and I'd studied in English class, but I started reading it from an actor's perspective, and I think that was really the first thing that excited me and got me interested.
Great play, right?
Incredible. The first play I think was The Glass Menagerie that I read with an actor.
When you do a great play, the words sing for themselves,
right?
They
do. Yeah. And I mean, and his words are so brilliant and elegant, and so that's when I started, and I started auditioning.
Did you have a tough time getting accepted, the fact that here's this beautiful model, Sports Illustrated, can she act? You know the bit.
Yeah, and I think, but at the same, I did, and I think I still do, but at the same time, it's not like I'm gonna bite the hand that fed me because it's what opened the doors for me. I think initially producers and directors and casting directors saw me or took meetings with me because I had developed somewhat of a name in the modeling side of things. So while I think people are definitely hesitant at first, it opened doors.
But your first screen appearances with Jennifer Aniston and
Adam Sandler, yes, sir.
And what was that?
Just Go With It. Yeah.
Did you have fun doing it?
I loved it. We were in Hawaii. We shot in Hawaii for 2 months. I'm a huge fan of both of them. So when that's your first filming experience, it's incredible. It's a little scary because your mistakes are kind of being seen on a really massive stage.
Adam's a great guy.
Great guy.
Yeah. Now, how about the sitcom? Tell me how Friends with Better Lives came about.
Yes. So I love comedy, and it's something that I feel really comfortable in. And I started, pilot season was last January, and I started reading scripts. And this particular script caught my eye because I liked the idea that Friends with Better Lives, you're always going to be on the top or on the bottom. It's this nice cycle, and I like the idea of having these great characters who kind of hit rock bottom. So
Who's Jules?
Jules is the person I wish I was. She is incredibly optimistic. She has this effervescent personality. She is open and loving and warm, and probably a little too naive for her own good. But she's the kind of person that sees sparkles and butterflies everywhere. She's the friend who, I don't know if you have this friend, but every person that they bring home is the one. And she's met her umpteenth the one and gets engaged to this man after 6 weeks.
You tape before a live audience?
Yes.
You like that?
Yes. It was terrifying at first because it's like theater. And it's also when you're filming a television show, typically, as you know, you can mess up or you can improv and they just roll the cameras. It's no big deal, especially now in a digital age. And with a live audience, you mess up a line and the bells ring and the lights come up and the audience has to readjust, and so it's a much bigger thing. The pressure's definitely greater there, but the audience is a really great litmus test.
Why do you like comedy so much?
I don't know if it's because I grew up watching comedies. I don't know if it's that my family's really funky and funny, so that's just something I grew up around, but it's definitely something I feel comfortable in.
How do you not break up?
I do.
You do?
I do break. I'm the first one in my cast to break, yeah. I need to work on that, actually, because I do. When people, especially dancing, seeing people dance gets me every time.
So they have to stop?
They have to stop. Isn't that terrible? Or they'll just take the camera off of me because they see me shaking. The biggest thing they ask me, they say, if you're going to laugh, just don't shake. Don't do the shoulder thing because they'll see that on camera. So I try to hide it.
Was it tough to be accepted past your looks? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. But I also, to be honest, I read interviews with people who are beautiful, and they say that it's not fair that they're not cast in great roles because of their looks. And I understand that, and I think that I am cast for that a lot, and I think a lot of the roles I've played that has been the main focus. But again, it's opened so many doors for me that it's really hard. Really hard to
mad at it. Right?
I can't. Yeah. I can't. I didn't really earn it. I work really hard.
You don't wish you were ugly.
Well, I don't think about the looks things. I didn't earn it. My parents gave it to me. I didn't work hard to become pretty, so they gave it to me, and now it's my job to work hard and earn it.
The show is Friends with Better Lives. It airs Mondays, 8:30 Eastern on CBS. After the break, Brooklyn talks about her love for the University of North Carolina Tar Heels.
I'm going to get you.
And her marriage to the former U.S. Open champion as well. Don't click away. Hi, you grew up in North Carolina, did Brooklyn Decker.
I did.
So you could have been a Duke fan. Could have been an NC State fan.
I could have.
Could have been a Wake Forest fan.
Yes, sir.
Why did you choose Carolina?
I don't know why I chose Carolina. When you grow up in North Carolina, you kind of pick your blue.
What city was you live?
I grew up in Matthews, outside of Charlotte.
So
and
could have been anyone of them.
Could have been anyone. And I just distinctly remember my first game. I think they were playing Florida. I went to Chapel Hill, and it was when Matt Doherty was coaching, which is not the best time for UNC basketball history. And I remember them losing and the fans just being so dedicated and so committed and going wild for the team regardless, and I just fell in love with them then.
Did you become a Freak fan now? Do you follow them?
I am a fan, yes. I try to go to, I've been to a few of the UNC Duke games. I try to go to a game a year if I can, but I'm a big fan. I was disappointed this year, but they always come through.
Well, they always are good.
They are, yes.
You like other sports?
I do. You know, in North Carolina, you grow up watching sports, and when I was in elementary school, we got the Panthers franchise, so it was a very big deal for Carolina to get
Jordan
the team.
owns them.
Correct. He's Bobcats, which are now the Hornets. Exactly.
You got a lot. You got good teams.
We have great teams. Good. Yeah. So I
made the playoffs this year.
That's right. They sure did. This was probably their best year. We love Cam. So I'm a big Panther fan, and again, it's just. I think I lived in North Carolina during a very pivotal time. It's the Hornets left, and then we got them back, and the Panthers came, and so it was exciting.
You did sports reporting too, right?
Yes, I did. I used to do football picks with Dr. Z for Sports Illustrated.
Tell me how you met Andy Roddick.
It's a terrible story.
Terrible?
It's terrible.
He was playing poker.
Yeah. That would have been second best to this, but yes, he used to be a huge poker player. He still plays when he can. But when I hosted the show. He watched it every week and got his agent to call my agent. Isn't that terrible?
An agent to call an agent?
I know, it's so Hollywood.
And say what?
Well, they called and they just said, do you know who this person is? He is a fan of your show and would like to meet you. And I thought it was very weird, so I didn't call him back for 5 months. And again, I was kind of antisocial in New York. So finally, my agent said, you should try to make friends and you should call this guy back.
You interviewed him?
Yes, more or less. More or less.
Were you attracted to him?
I was. Yeah, so we started talking on the phone, and then we met in New York in person.
How long was the courtship?
Not very long. We were engaged in under a year.
Were you a tennis fan before that?
Not at all. Not at all. My first match was watching him play when we were dating.
He now has quit, right?
He has retired, yes.
So what does Andy do?
He drinks a lot of wine now, which is really fun for me.
He's at home all the time?
No,
I know you have a beautiful house. I know that.
Yes, we're very lucky, but he works for Fox Sports 1 now and has a show commentating and reporting, and so now he discusses sports. It's like a man's dream. He talks about sports every night and loves it. So now he's kind of on your side of things.
He was always the figure in tennis, a great tennis player, but he was never like the big social. He didn't yell at the referee.
Andy had a temper that he let show on the court occasionally, but I think that's what made him real and fun to watch. I liked watching him because he was emotional on the court.
Yeah, but he was a very, very studied. He was a very good player.
He was a great
in
player.
all facets of the game.
Yes, he was a very strong player, and he loved tennis and still loves tennis. But yeah, I think he's enjoying retirement a lot.
Do you go to matches?
I did. When he was playing, I did. I tried to go to all the Grand Slams, and yeah, I would go.
How you like marriage?
I love it.
Now, what about a family?
You sound like my mom. I love kids, and I want kids. I just don't know when that will happen.
Gonna wait a while?
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe. I'm not sure.
What does Andy say?
I think we're both. We live in Austin, Texas. We work in LA.
And you have a home here in Beverly Hills?
We do, and so.
So where most of the time is Austin?
Austin's home, yeah. So when we're not working, we go home. And I love Austin. I think the idea of bringing up kids in a crazy, inconsistent life is a little nerve-wracking, so that's probably a huge factor, is the logistics behind having a child.
Now, if he's got to be at Fox Sports LA,
yes,
you have to be here to shoot the show.
Yes.
When are you in Austin? How does your times work?
So my show shot for this year 7 months. from pilot to the wrap of the season, so I was out here pretty full time. And the great thing about television is that, and you didn't have this luxury, is that we have 3 weeks on, 1 week off.
No, I don't have that.
Exactly. So we are very lucky that I can fly home every 3 weeks and go home to Austin. And then when I'm off, I go home. So I'll fly home
Austin?
Thursday. Austin because that's where Andy grew up, first off. And secondly, I love growing up in North Carolina. I love the idea of being in nature, and Austin provides all that. It's
You like the South?
I do.
After the break, Brooklyn, I love that name.
Thank you.
We'll take your questions. We'll play a game, too, of If You Only Knew. That's next. We're back with Brooklyn Decker. She stars in Friends with Better Lives. It airs Mondays, 8:30 Eastern on CBS. You're active on social media. Mm-hmm. My producers tell me you don't take yourself too seriously. I don't either. We have a few photos from your Instagram account. We'd like you to explain them. All right, what the hell is that?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so happy you're seeing this, Larry. This is very exciting. I did a commercial where I was supposed to be the high school version of myself. So that's me with braces and fake bangs, but everything else is me. That's me with no makeup. A little bit scary, but
what is this one?
This is me. I don't know why I post these pictures. This is me getting my teeth bleached. It's a terrible experience. I don't recommend it to anybody, but it was very Hannibal Lecter, so I had to take a picture. And of course,
why do you need to bleach your teeth?
My dentist told me I should try it. I'd never done it. It was
hurts.
Yeah, it hurts.
What is it? That's not you.
That's me. Yeah. Classy, right there.
What is that scene supposed to be?
So my friend Whitney, who's next to me, we love costumes and we make all our friends dress up and have theme parties. And so we had one mullet night, and I looked like such a boy that.
Yeah, you do.
I do, right?
That is not a sex symbol.
No, that's not.
What if we did an Instagram picture together? What could we do?
I like really bad faces, so I'd make you do a funny face. You'd have to cross your eyes or, give yourself
glasses
3
off.
chins. Yeah.
We have some social media questions for you.
Okay.
You are a little weird, though.
I am.
That's good to hear.
I am.
Bryson Knox on Facebook. If you weren't a model or an actress, what would you be?
Well, I wanted to be a veterinarian growing up. I had 5 dogs
animals.
and 2 cats, and so I think I'd be doing that.
At 83 Nina07 on Twitter wants to know, does Andy let you win when you play tennis?
I don't play because I think every athlete is way too competitive to let anyone else win. So I'll always be losing.
That's
I can't.
true.
That's his thing. I cheer.
Competitive people, they race you down the street, they want to beat you in tiddlywinks.
It's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Key Socks on Twitter wants to know, what's your favorite pastime?
My favorite pastime, hiking. I like being in the woods.
Oh.
Yeah.
At Chrissy Teigen says,
this is one of my best friends.
Hi, Brooklyn. All right. Have you heard of tingers? And the question is, do you know anyone with tingers, and do you find them to be an attractive quality in a mate?
Okay.
All right, what is a tinger, and who is she?
Chrissy is one of my best friends. She's an excellent tweeter, by the way. And tingers are something that I have, and they are toe fingers. So when you have really long, crooked toes, we call them tingers. And so my friends always make fun of my feet. So she's asking me.
Wait a minute, I'm not going to ask you to display it, but
they're gross. Tingers, they're like long, they look like this. It's bad, right?
So on the swimsuit spot, they don't show your feet?
No. My cover, there are no feet. And that was intentional.
You have ugly feet.
I have terrible
Therefore,
feet.
a man with a foot fetish would not be attracted.
Would hate my feet.
Off.
They're disgusting. I have tingers. Thank you, Chrissy. Thank you for that.
We play a little game If You Only Knew. I just throw out questions.
Okay.
Who's the first boy you ever kissed?
Derek Stutz.
We're in North Carolina.
In North Carolina.
How old were you?
I was 12. I was at Middle School Madness.
Whatever happened to him?
I don't know, actually. I have no idea.
Where did you kiss him? Where were you?
We were at this thing called Middle School Madness. It's a dance for middle schoolers, and we were right on the dance floor.
Was he cute?
He was very cute, yes.
First car?
91 VW Cabrio. I love that car.
You're deserted on an island. What 3 things you want to bring?
Probably my husband and my 2 dogs.
Favorite tennis major?
The Wimbledon. It's so iconic.
Favorite ex-North Carolina basketball star?
I really love Rashad McCants. He was my favorite player.
Favorite tennis major to attend?
To attend? U.S. Open, because it's in New York, and it's so much fun.
I love Forest Hills.
It's beautiful and electric.
Biggest pet peeve?
Biggest pet peeve would have to be gossiping.
Me too.
I hate gossip.
I hate it too.
Yeah.
City with the best fashion culture.
Probably, New York. I lived in New York. It's just, yeah.
There's no city like it.
Yeah, it's true.
What keeps you up at night? What do you worry about?
What keeps me up at night? I would have to say when I'm going to be employed next. Is that selfish?
Every actor has that.
Every actor has that. You just want to be employed.
You don't see a script, it's nervous.
That's exactly right, yeah.
Song currently playing on repeat on your iPad.
I would have to say
iPod.
Van
iPad.
Morrison, Tupelo Honey.
Best tennis stroke. You don't play.
I guess the serve. I don't
Proudest accomplishment.
Proudest accomplishment would have to be, my family, my parents and my brother, my whole family. Even though it's not an accomplishment, yeah.
Favorite tennis player beside your husband?
I would have to say Marty Fisher, James Blake. They're American guys and I just love them.
Something no one knows about you.
Something no one knows about me is that I played the violin for 7 years.
You good?
When I played. I haven't played in a long time, but yeah.
Okay, Tinger. Thanks, honey.
Thank you very much.
Brooklyn Decker, a huge thanks to the lovely and charming Brooklyn Decker with the great first name and the beautiful talent in joining us. Make sure to tune in to her new show, Friends with Better Lives. It airs Mondays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on CBS. And as always, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things. See you next time.